Brian Kelly says, so yeah. So LSU, so let me lay out the plot a little bit while I'm still finding the quote. Brian Kelly, the coach of LSU. So like LSU was up. I think they were up by like 7 in the fourth quarter, and then they ended up losing with a last second touchdown to USC. And Brian Kelly says he's quoted after the game press conference. So this is like real raw emotion. Like this is where they be getting players, coaches, their real emotions right after a loss. Where USC, you're looking at a team USC. They just lost Caleb Williams, West Coast team. Lincoln Riley's the head coach, so he's known to like have real soft defenses that give up 50 points a game. That rely heavily on the quarterback to win the game for him. So like a SEC blue blood team like LSU is supposed to come in there and just run the ball.
You know who their defensive coordinator is at USC now?
Anthony Lynn's right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I seen that. Yeah, yeah. Black head coach. There you go. Can't go wrong with a black coach. All right. So Brian Kelly, right after the loss, says, I'm so angry about it. This is where the quote starts. I'm so angry about it that I've got to do something about it. Oh, no, no, no. That's the second thing he said. The first thing he said was, hold on, bro. Let me find this shit. He said, we're sitting here again. We're sitting here again, talking about the same things, about not finishing when you have an opponent in a position to put them away. Uh, yeah. So, and it, yeah, yeah. And he's saying basically he said he kicked his players back in, said that they were getting too comfortable with the lead, and that when they have a lead, they like to act like the game's over. And then he like kind of went off on a tangent saying like kicking their back and saying our quarterback got outplayed, defense got outplayed, everybody got outplayed. And then he kind of caught himself in real time putting the blame on these 18 to 22-year-olds, and then after said, I'm so angry about it that I've got to do something about it. I'm not doing a good enough job as a coach. I've got to coach him better because it's unacceptable for us to not have found a way to win this football game. It's ridiculous. So then, yeah, he caught himself kind of going off and then tried to come back and then try to take ownership after already kicking your players back in.
Mhm.
So did you see the press conference, the game? Do you have any?
I saw like the replay of the game. But I don't know, like that's just a weird obviously it's a weird quote to say. Obviously, I think that I seen that something that popped up where it's like they haven't won their opening week game since Joe Burrow was there as their quarterback. Obviously, they had that legendary season when his last season there. And so for whatever reason obvious reason they haven't been able to replicate that because that's a once in a generation type season that they had over there with the type of talent that they had. You can't really replicate having that. Um, but I mean, it is a weird quote. Like, I don't know. Obviously, probably like you were saying, he's probably feeling the pressure of being on the hot seat. There's lofty expectations that always when you're coaching at a blue bud like LSU, a college football powerhouse that's been a has that sort of legacy and whatnot. And so I think pretty much ever since he's been there, they've kind of underwhelmed and underperformed, considering that I mean they've had solid talent around them. Obviously, they just had Jaden Daniels there who just won a Heisman, and he won a Heisman, and like the whole time they was never really in the national title picture, and they was never really in the CFP picture at all. Like they kind of just were, in that like 20 to 25 range. Maybe they peaked in like the teens somewhere. Um, so he's definitely probably feeling the pressure. So throwing your players under the bus after 1 week, especially in the era now where it's a 12 team CFP, like your season's not over. Your season's far from over just because you lost one game to a USC team that's ranked two. So like just because you lost this one game doesn't necessarily mean obviously it's the it's not the ideal start, but it don't mean your season's over. You can still sneak into that top 12 even with two losses probably get you in if especially you kind of with the conference realignment and stuff, people gonna be beating up on each other. So I don't really see no teams gonna go undefeated or have one loss seasons. Like I think it's going to be a lot of parity across college football, similar to what you see in NFL and whatnot. So it's an interesting quote to kind of do that after one game of the season. I don't know. We'll see if it pays off for him. I don't think I don't think that's the way to go though. Be interesting to see though.
Yeah, and you brought up a couple of great points that I didn't even think of that are definitely come into play with this. So yeah, Brian Kelly, man. Like now that I really let's look at you as a whole. When LSU won, that wasn't him. That was Coach O. That's the guy with the raspy voice, the juice
Hmm.
guy that has problems. I think he had like drinking problems or something in the past. But that's the guy who he's a real players coach. That wasn't Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly came from Notre Dame. I think the if not the year after the championship, the second year after it. And yeah, you look at their season last year. You got a guy, Jaden Daniels, who is the second quarterback taken in the draft. You got Malik Neighbors, another top 5 talent on offense, and they had another receiver who I think went in the first round. So you're
Yeah,
looking at
Brian
all,
Thomas.
yeah, Brian Thomas, and you're looking at all that talent he had. You got a guy win the Heisman, and you guys really weren't even competitive if we're talking about within the top of the top 4 college football. Weren't even looked at as a factor. So that definitely comes to coaching. And you're at school like LSU, where it's like even if you're just drafting players from Louisiana in your own state, you got the talent to compete at a national level. So yeah, that I think at this point it's looking like a buy-in issue because you're saying kicking the players back in, saying how many times do I have to remind them? Well, obviously, bro, the message you're giving them isn't going across. But yeah, too, this kind of this just shows a lack of this shows the type of man that he is to sit on the hot seat after a game and like I said, put all the blame initially. He kind of blacked out there for a second, put all the blame initially on 18 to 22 year olds shows your character as a man. So this is the type of dude who, if he gets cut off by a black dude in traffic, you already know what's coming out of his mouth. Yeah, but I said if you can't control yourself in that, if you can't control your real life emotions in that, when all the cameras is in front of you, what is you saying behind closed doors, Brian Kelly?
Yeah, I think that's some shit you say as an NFL head coach. Like that would be more acceptable. The
You
type of
don't
things he
know.
was
You do
saying.
not say that as an NFL head coach. You can say
In
that
general, you
behind
probably
closed.
shouldn't.
No,
Yeah, behind closed
you
doors for sure.
never.
You definitely say
As a
it. But
coach, everybody
I
knows
see what you're saying.
as a coach and as a quarterback, you sitting in the press conference, you getting grilled, you got to eat it. You got to take it. All on me. But don't you I don't care if you gritting your teeth, you stomping your foot behind the podium, your hands is balled up. You got to eat it even if it's not your fault. You got to eat it. And then when we close the doors, when they see the media outside, coach say, close that door, turn that music off. That's when you really let the team know what's going on and what needs to be fixed and
Hmm.
get into them one on one.
I was just saying more so it's even worse than as a college coach than the NFL coach. They're both none of neither nor is good. You shouldn't do it in any circumstance. But when you're doing it like that with when you're coaching a bunch of kids, like you said, 18 to 22 year olds, then it's even worse because um, you know what I mean? Like it's gonna be harder for you to get that buy-in when you're affecting the kids' confidence like that. Whereas opposed to obviously with grown men, you're dealing with more egos and stuff. But I don't think that you would have as much of a confidence issue or a belief issue from NFL athletes compared to college kids. But maybe that's just my subjective opinion on that.
No, yeah, I understand that, but even more so when you're dealing with these are kids. These aren't grown men making millions of dollars. Some of them are making millions through NIL, but the majority aren't. So you look nuts as a 54-year-old man who's making the most money in the room. College coaches is making damn near more money than everyone, the whole room combined,
Mm-hmm.
especially at a LSU, Alabama, Notre Dame. You making bread. You making $5 to $6 million to $10 million a year. And you over here putting the blame on these kids, and they're like, "Hey, well, whoa, wait a minute, coach. We had Jaden Daniels last year. What happened? You sitting there putting it on us, but we could put it right back on you." So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think Brian Kelly's nasty. I could kind of see where this is trending. I don't think it's going to get any easier for LSU in the SEC when you're looking at you got to play Alabama, you got to play an Ole Miss. Someone else is going to merge. Oh, you got to
Georgia,
play at Georgia. Yeah, you got to play Georgia, and
Oklahoma's in
then
there now.
and Texas looks damn
Texas.
good. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it's so Get ready to kick even more
I
players
think
back in, Brian Kelly.
Missouri's in there, and they like top 10. They got that Luther
Yeah,
Braden. I don't remember how to pronounce his last name, but I know
yeah,
he one of the ones at wide receiver. So
yeah.
there's a lot
So
of, there's a lot of good teams in the SEC. So we're gonna get it's scary hours.
it's scary hours. Yeah, he's done. He's done. He'll be coaching at maybe he'll get like a Washington State job or something next year, somewhere on the West Coast. Yeah,
Steve, nasty.
yeah, he'll be a Wazoo. Yeah, no, it's I've seen enough of him. Like because one LSU's been underperforming. Like this is LSU, man. Like this is like championship or bust. Here we've been championship or bust since about 2009, even before then. So it's like not getting the job done, kid. Just not getting the job done, and you're putting blame on players. So now this kind of opens the college football world's eyes to like, oh, this is you. We was just looking like, that looks funny over there. But now you didn't really put the microscope on the whole program. It's like, oh yeah, we see exactly what's they ain't buying in. Yeah. So yep, that's pretty much the synopsis that I'm coming to on this. It's like this is going to be Brian Kelly's last coaching year with LSU, and then we'll see what he does at Wazoo, Oregon State next year. He'll figure it out. Maybe Colorado State. Colorado State got off to a bad start this year. Maybe that job be open.